I never thought I'd be making this video, but I'm going carnivore. I've actually done this diet about 2.5 years ago, and I had some mixed reviews about it, but it did help me. And I decided, just kind of on a whim, I think I need to do it again. If you're new here, I'm Asher. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I've been on my healing journey for a long time. I've tried many things. I've tried many therapeutic practices, including therapeutic diets, probably most of them, apart from maybe the GAPS diet or the specific carbohydrate diet. But I've done a lot of things, and I've also healed a lot, and I've done it all naturally, but I have a long way to go. And I am not settling for anything less than the best that God has for me, and neither should you. So today I want to talk about the carnivore diet, and I want to talk about why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, and just give you my 2 cents on it as a holistic nutritionist and as someone who is actively doing it and practicing it. Okay, before I get into this video, huge disclaimer, I am not saying you need to do the carnivore diet. I'm not saying it's the healthiest diet. I am not saying it's gonna heal all your problems. I'm not saying any of that, okay? None of this is medical advice. Please do your own research. I cannot stress that enough, especially if you're on medications. Talk to your doctor, even though your doctor will probably think you're crazy for wanting to do this, but talk to them anyway. Talk to your healthcare provider. If you like this type of content, I do plan to share more about carnivore on here, so subscribe down below. So I've been on my healing journey for a long time. My health crashed at 19, and I developed a lot of really severe health challenges. I've done many things. I've also healed a lot, and I'm not gonna say that one diet's gonna cure all your issues. I'm kind of doing it as an experiment for myself, so I think it'll be fun. You know, we go on this little ride together. But I know that the carnivore diet has helped a lot of people recover from chronic health issues, from lifelong chronic health issues, and just things that doctors have said you'll never recover from or things won't get better. And I don't think that's ever true. I think there's always hope, and it doesn't have to be one specific diet or regimen, but I think there's always hope for people to heal. I think God made your body to heal. We were designed to heal, and I'm not settling for anything less, and you shouldn't either. Okay, what is the carnivore diet? I feel like is a lot of confusion around these types of diets. Is it carnivore? Is it keto? Are they the same thing? The answer is no. The carnivore diet is an animal-based diet, and it has multiple tiers to it. There's multiple types of the carnivore diet that kind of sweeps into this overarching umbrella of being animal-based. And the first tier, which is the most restrictive, and that's actually the one that I'm doing, is called the Lion Diet. This term was coined by Michaela Peterson. She's been on the Lion Diet for about 6 years, maybe longer, don't quote me on that. But it is only ruminant meat, good salt, and water. This is the ultimate elimination diet. So a lot of people will do this diet when they are trying to figure out what foods they're reacting to or creating low-grade inflammation, just have no idea what's really causing symptoms. They'll do this diet, remove all these foods, and then slowly reintroduce foods. That's kind of the idea of it. It's not meant to be a long-term diet. It's meant to be an elimination diet that you then reintroduce foods. Some people do it long term because it's just helped them so much, and they also can't reintroduce foods because they get reactions. But anyway, the Lion Diet is the most restrictive form and the most strict elimination diet. Oh my gosh, I didn't even explain. Ruminant meat is meat that basically the animal has the ability to have like multiple parts to digest, or like multiple chambers in the stomach, so it digests what they eat multiple times and really breaks it down. So some people do better with these types of animals. It's less inflammatory for them. So these are things like beef, bison, goat, lamb, elk, and venison. Those are kind of the top ones. And then no spices, nothing added, just good quality salt. You don't want to be doing table salt. You want to be doing like Redmond salt or like Himalayan salt, something like that. My personal preference is Redmond. You can also do electrolytes if they don't have anything added to them. I definitely recommend it. There's also standard carnivore. So this is tier 2, that's not as restrictive, but still heavily restrictive compared to a regular diet. So this one is everything that's included in the Lion Diet plus all animal products. So you can have fish, seafood, chicken, turkey. You can do eggs. You can do regular eggs. You can do quail eggs. You can do dairy. A lot of people will do butter. A lot of people do cheese. All dairy is permitted. Sometimes people will do different variations of the standard carnivore diet. If you see one person eating one thing and another person's like, that's not carnivore, just know people kind of make their own rules up at this point, and they bring in foods that work for them. That's kind of the point of this, is like figuring out which foods work best for you personally. Did I mention spices? You can also have spices. on the standard carnivore diet. Tier number 3 is the modified carnivore diet, also known as ketovore or carnivore keto. There is a difference between carnivore and keto, which I'll talk about in a second, but this type of diet, you are allowed everything on the Lion diet and the standard carnivore diet, plus some keto approved fruits, so like berries or like other keto approved vegetables. Sometimes people do vegetables, sometimes I don't. Again, it depends on how you do it. But this is more animal based. Like if you see Paul Saladino or other people doing animal based, this is what they're doing. They're adding in things that are not technically carnivore, but are like low toxicity fruits, mainly fruits and honey and stuff like that. Okay, I just want to touch on keto versus carnivore. This really irks me because as a nutritionist, I hear people all the time being like, oh, I'm on the keto diet. And then I see what they're eating and I'm like, girl, you're not on the keto diet. So there is a difference between keto and carnivore, but the carnivore diet can be done keto. It can be done ketogenic. So just really quick, the keto diet is designed to put your body in the metabolic state of ketosis. Okay, so if you're eating carbs or you're eating a lot of protein, you are burning or utilizing sugar or glucose as fuel. Okay, so your cells are taking in glucose, they're taking in the sugar from your food, even if you're eating a high protein diet, because you can still break down protein into sugar. So if you are just kind of eating a regular diet or still including carbs, you're going to be using sugar to fuel your cells, to fuel your brain, and that is debatably what a lot of people say not the optimal fuel. The keto diet is to be in the metabolic state of ketosis where you are burning or utilizing or running on fat or ketones, also called ketone bodies. A naturopath here would send me patients to do ketogenic diets with them for therapeutic purposes, so like for cancer or for weight loss or if they had blood sugar issues. So I know about the keto diet and people have really seen great results with keto. So carnivore is different than keto, but you can be in a ketogenic state while on carnivore, okay? But a lot of people that do carnivore are not in keto. And I just want to make that distinction because some people will say, oh yeah, I'm doing keto, but you're really not because you're not in ketosis. The only way to know if you're in ketosis is by testing. A blood test is the most effective form of testing. Okay, back to carnivore. Are vegetables evil? Do I think they're evil and they're trying to kill you? No, I don't think vegetables are evil, but they do have a lot of anti-nutrients in them. So this is kind of the big debate with carnivores is that vegetables contain anti-nutrients like oxalates, lectins, phytates, and other anti-nutrients that basically can rob the body of nutrients because they bind to nutrients and they also cause damage and inflammation to the body. Now, I don't think everybody needs to go carnivore. I don't think vegetables are trying to kill us, but it's a very real issue for a lot of people where these anti-nutrients in these plant foods, you're not going to find anti-nutrients in animal foods, only in plants. They can be harmful for some people who are dealing with imbalances in their gut and inflammation in their bodies. They can cause inflammation. So I don't think every person needs to completely eliminate plants, but I think for some people it could be helpful. Just my thoughts. Another question that comes up is fat bad for you? No, fat is not bad for you. We have been so wrongly been told that fat is bad for us. I think most people know these days that fat is not bad, but I think a lot of people still think maybe saturated fat's not good for you. Saturated fat is good for you. Meat is good for you. The fat in meat is good for you. This is what people lived on and thrived on in our ancestral days when we didn't have modernization of wheat and all those conventional crops that we have now. Like we didn't have those back then and they survived and they were healthy and thriving. We may live longer these days, but are we really thriving? No, most people are sick. Meat is not bad. Saturated fat is not bad for you. It is not a problem. It is the processed foods. It's the inflammatory processed oils, refined oils. It is the sugars, all the fake foods, the chemicals, the additives, the glyphosate, the genetic modification. Those are not foods. They should not be in our diet. Do I think you need carnivore to get healthy? No. For a lot of people, if they just remove the junk, they remove the processed foods, they cut back on the grains or remove the grains, remove the wheat and the processed foods, especially foods that have been altered or modified, they're going to feel a lot better. I don't think you need to do carnivore necessarily to get healthier. I think everyone that's saying like carnivore is the only way, no, carnivore is not the only way. Getting the junk out of your diet is going to move you a long way. I also know that, again, a lot of people have recovered from really severe health issues, so I think it might be worth a shot. Why I am doing the carnivore diet. All right, so like I said, I did it 2.5 years ago for 3 months, but I took short breaks in between, and that was because I had wicked cravings. And looking back, I'm sure I was not eating enough. I'm sure that's the reason. I also was, I feel like, just more unhealthy 2.5 years ago. I've really come a long way with my hormones and everything, but I didn't have a good experience when it came to my cycles with carnivore. But I'm curious to see how that changes this time because I'm doing things differently. And I'll share more about that as I go further onto this diet. I had some external factors happen that were just completely out of my control that made the diet really difficult. One of them, I either got food poisoning or I'm wondering if it was like toxicity from seafood because I had mussels. I will never have them again. They were just from a grocery store and it was just a bad thing. So I got really sick and I had no appetite. I couldn't eat for like 2 days. But otherwise, I did notice really big benefits for my gut health. Bloating, I had never had such a flat stomach in my life. I literally was like, is this okay? Is this healthy? Like to have such a flat stomach? As someone who had dealt with chronic bloating for years and years and years and years, it was just wild. Now, it didn't last the whole time because I did go on and off of the diet, but initially it was insane. I found that long term, my digestion improved. When I came off of carnivore, I was able to eat foods, little bits of things that I couldn't eat previously without digestive pain and wicked bloating. So I did see long-term benefits when I did it for those 3 months. Another thing I remember experiencing was crazy reductions in inflammation. I felt so much less inflamed. As someone who's dealt with severe chronic pain for so many years, I felt so much better. I wouldn't say the 3 months fixed everything, but I noticed a really big difference. I was so much more mobile. I was going to yoga at the time and I was so much more flexible without as much pain. It was crazy. So I really did notice benefits and that was enough to be like, I think I'm gonna try this again. Now, when I came off of it, I made a really big mistake and I introduced a lot of foods at once and it was horrible. I didn't even share this on social media at the time, like how bad it truly was. I was so sick for 2 months. So if you're doing carnivore, you have to reintroduce properly. It was bad. But I'm doing it because I want to heal. Like that's my number one goal. I want to heal autoimmune-like issues. I want to heal from this fatigue. I want to heal insulin resistance. I actually recently just did a blood test and I got my hemoglobin A1C tested and I had very high levels of insulin. So I gotta get this insulin under control. No, I'm not overweight. No, I am not diabetic. You can be insulin resistant and not be diabetic or overweight. You can look healthy, you can look slim, you can look fit, and still be insulin resistant. And if you have severe fatigue, there's a very good chance you're insulin resistant, or if you have to eat a lot, or you crash. So that's kind of, I would say my number one goal is like, I really want to heal my insulin receptors and make my body sensitive to insulin again, make my cells sensitive to insulin, and, recover from this fatigue because it is something else. Again, come a long way, but I have a long way to go. Another thing linked to insulin is cystic acne. My skin has to get better on this diet. There's no way it's not going to get better. That is something that I really need to improve, and I'm going to improve, and that is healing. As well as, just like inflammation, pain levels, a lot of other things. I'm really hopeful that this is going to really move the needle for me. For timeline, I want to do this for a minimum of 90 days, so 3 months. I think to really see progress, you should probably do it for 3 months. 1 month, people usually see benefits and they'll see weight loss and they'll see reduced inflammation and other things, usually better sleep. But for the healing process to really happen, you have to start with 90 days. Because it does take 3 months for your cells to turn over, like your red blood cells. And there's just a lot of things that need to happen in your body to recover. Like you didn't get here overnight, so it's going to take time, So if you're on it, just don't give up. It'll take time. So my goal minimum is 3 months, but I am likely going to do this for longer. I want to touch on the length for a second and just say that if somebody is on the carnivore diet and they literally can't reintroduce food, you need to look deeper. If you've done carnivore for a year, 2 years, and you're not able to introduce a single food, you have to look deeper. Look at your stress, look at traumas, look at emotional factors, look at your gut health, like get a comprehensive gut test. I just think it's not a solution that you should only do carnivore. You need to look at other things and work with a practitioner. That's just important. I've done a lot of those things, so I'm excited for carnivore. So long term, my plan would be to move to more of an animal-based diet. So I don't want to just be eating meat forever. I would love to move to being able to introduce fruits and just like more of an animal-based diet. And then as I heal, bring in more foods. But I'm really just going to go with the flow and I'm going to see how I feel. If I need to eat, a more strict diet to feel great, then I'll do it. I'm pretty much willing to do anything at this point. So we'll just see what happens. I want to share my rules for carnivore. Now, like I said, everyone kind of does it differently. This is how I'm doing it. Knowing my body, knowing what I know about health and nutrition, these are my rules. Committing to 90 days, minimum, but probably longer, just because I know my body and I want to make sure that I really get the most benefit, but I'm also going to be listening to my body. If I really feel like, I really need to bring something in, I'll do it. I am starting with the most strict version, the Lion Diet, because I really want to test for sensitivities and see how my body responds as I eventually introduce foods. This is generally the route that people tend to go with autoimmunity or more severe health issues. The third thing is I am drinking electrolytes every single day without question. Unflavored electrolytes. It's great. It doesn't really taste like anything. They're clean. It's just magnesium, sodium, potassium, red mineral salt. So it's a good clean option. I don't want to do any flavors, any stevia, nothing like that. I want to do it as pure as possible. You don't have to do that, but that is what I'm doing. Number 4 is I'm salting everything. So I'm using red mineral salt. That's my preferred salt of choice. And I'm putting that on everything in a good amount and also putting salt in my water. Every single time I drink water, I do that anyway. We just need the minerals when you're transitioning to a low-carb diet because your body will excrete a lot more minerals. And also when you're on the diet, it's just good to have a lot more minerals. Number 5 is I want to slowly ramp up fats because I just want to make sure that my gut is good. I don't want to go crazy with the fats right away and then have repercussions from that. You can, but I'm planning to bump up my fat slowly. Number 6, I am taking magnesium glycinate. I've been taking this for a while. I use it for sleep. I use it for bowel movements. If things are a little sluggish, then it's a really good thing to add in. So I will be taking that every night. Your digestion should regulate over time, but it can be a little iffy at the start. Number 7, I don't want to be fasting for long periods. I plan to eat 3 meals a day just because I don't want to stress my body too much. I don't want my cortisol to be spiking. I don't want to get that jittery, anxious, low blood sugar feeling. I want to keep things as stable as possible, especially during the transition period when things can be a little rocky, when you are not used to burning fat for fuel and not used to not eating carbs. I know a lot of people fast, a lot of people feel great when they fast, a lot of people aren't very hungry on carnivore, but I am planning to do 3 meals a day because that just is what works best for me. I also plan to just eat when I'm hungry and stop eating when I'm full, but also kind of keep to a schedule as much as I can, but just like listening to my body as to how hungry I am. So like I said, with the Lion Diet, I am doing no fish, no eggs, no spices, nothing else other than ruminant meat and salt and water for at least the first week. Lastly, I may consider adding in other sources of fat if I'm struggling to get my fat in because I'm not eating any dairy and I feel like it's hard to do carnivore when you're not eating butter. Butter is one of those things, if I could tolerate it, I would definitely be eating it on carnivore because it can make the whole experience a lot easier. So I may consider adding MCT oil or olive oil, like a really good quality olive oil, but I'll see how it goes. Okay, lastly, I just want to touch on my macros. This will vary per person, but I just feel like this would be really helpful to hear. So here's what I'm doing. I am about 108 pounds and I am aiming to get 75% of my total calories from fat and 25% of my total calories from protein. I'm doing 0 carbs. And for me, what this works out to is about 100 grams of protein. I was kind of aiming for body weight, like a gram per pound of body weight, but I'm probably gonna aim for about 100 grams of protein and about 133 grams of fat every day. So breaking that into 3 meals, that would be about 33 grams of protein per meal and about 44 grams of fat per meal if I'm doing 3 meals a day. I use the Chronometer app. I'm not a tracker. I don't think we should be counting calories or macros day to day, but for something like this, it can be extremely helpful for troubleshooting and to not undereat as well, which is a problem that I tend to have. I'm just not as hungry, so I need to make sure I'm eating enough and hitting those macros for the day, or at least getting close to them. It's a really easy way to check your macros and see what you're actually eating, because it can be very deceiving sometimes. Like, you might be thinking you're eating enough fat, but you're really under eating fat. So can be super helpful. I use the app Carnivore, and you can type in your goals, like with weight. My goals are to not lose weight, to not gain weight. I just want to maintain, and I'm aiming for about 1,600 calories per day, which is actually much less than Carnivore suggests for me. It suggests like 1,340 for the day. I do not think that is enough food. So I'm aiming for about 1,600 calories. And yeah, you just punch in your information there and it'll give you guidelines. And you can also say, I want to eat this many grams of protein, or you can just click the keto option if you're trying to do like a ketogenic carnivore diet. You can just personalize it. It's a great app. I could maybe do another video on troubleshooting for symptoms like constipation, loose stools, or other things like fatigue. Let me know if you want me to do a video about that, because it can be really helpful to know what to do when those situations come up. Also, I'm gonna be traveling soon, so if you wanna see a video on how I travel on Carnivore, let me know in the comments, or if you have any other video ideas or suggestions, or if you're just on Carnivore, let me know in the comments, let me know how things are going. I would love to hear your stories and any successes. I'm just really excited to also share this with you guys. We're healing together, so it's gonna be fun. All right, that is everything, you guys. Thank you for being here. And remember, you're made to flourish. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.